Three. Okay, we are going to start. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, my partner and I are going to explain or are going to discuss about the questions that we have in our classroom. The first one is, what are the most important classroom management strategies you will implement in your future classroom and why? In this case, Camilo, I want to know, can you tell me something about that?
All right, just such of a broader group, what I could consider first, establish clear expectation and routines. Okay, like that structured environment provides security and predictability, reducing disruptive behaviors in the students. And how maybe you could just use clear communication or establish clear communication rules and procedures from the beginning, consistently enforcing them, and use visual aids to reinforce expectation. That really helps. Number one, just build positive relationships. Their rapport, especially when talking about young learners, is key in order to build communication. And and last one just would be effective use of classroom management techniques. Thinking about, for example, time, which is very important, having an account the attention gap that a student have, the transitions you use between your classes, and in that order that everything feels sort of order, the student behavior can be sort of more controlled when you have a correct atmosphere for the class. Okay. For naming other examples could be like proximity control, nonverbal cues, and timeouts, just for these minor disruptions. And that will be all. All right, let's go with the second questions, and it's related with the
Exactly.
classroom management issue and potential solutions. What do you think about it?
Okay, this one let me check one minute. What done, how to teacher of this, okay, let me check one thing about that. Okay, in this case, I think are possibilities for that equation, right? One of the other one is, for example, in a scenario that a student can interrupt the teacher and other students during the class discussions. This is really normal nowadays in a lot of classes, not only in a presential but also in virtual classes. Okay, and according to that, I think so that what went wrong in this case is really simple. The teacher may not have established clear expectation for participation, or they might not have consistently enforced the rules. It's really important to take into account that. Why? Because in this case, if you as a teacher have the possibility to talk about the rules on your class, the respect and unrespectful faults that maybe students could have made or maybe the teacher could have made. It's really important to take into account that for reinforcing in a good way, for maintaining a good environment on the class, and also in some cases out of the blue, because it does happen. It happens a lot of times that maybe students don't feel motivated for the teacher, don't feel motivated for the environment of the class, don't feel motivated for some of other, I don't know, for some of the other personal issues, personal problems, maybe in the house, maybe with a familiar, with another classmate. It's normal, right? And in these kind of cases, we have to take into account that as a teachers, also we are as a human beings, we have to have empathy for our students because there are a lot of emotions in young learners because they are teenagers or maybe they are kids, and in those kinds of situations it's really normal that kids want to express him or her or their feelings, and it's really normal. What do you think about that, Camilo? Camilo? Yes, Camilo.
Sorry, my microphone. Yes, I'm here.
So
Well, cultural environment is our next topic, right? Cultural challenges. Of course,
yes, of course.
as a Western culture, we are not, or well, at least in the Colombian context, we don't see so much about these cultural differences. Maybe talking about religion, regional parts, talking about people from different parts of the country. But for example, with classrooms in the United States, when you have plenty of students from maybe Asia, the impact, or they trying to fit in our Western contents when we tend to be more kind of noisy, more outgoing, more individual in some tasks. Of course, it's going to disrupt the best performing students. Some students will feel comfortable and others not. But more than challenges, I could take those differences mostly as an opportunity to reinforce the classes. Okay, having an account or trying to use our target language to learn about the differences, cultural awareness in that aspect. Also, because of our cultures, well, depending on the cultures they have in the classroom, have different approaches at the moment to base education. Flexible teaching styles that adapts to those learning methods, to those approaches from the students, will help better to um, will help to these disruptions. Open communication, of course, just to shake up the process of how you're going, how is the process going with your students, and normally just positive reinforcements. Use cultural platforms, okay, to these kids, to praise and reward them, to motivate the students to continue working on it. All right, great. So our next question goes on: what kind of routine or structure would you establish in your classroom to ensure the students feel secure and motivate to learn? Tell me, Carmen.
Okay, it's really interesting this question because as a teacher, we work with a lot of students around our grades, really know how to do that. But in this case, the idea to create an environment when the student will be feeling really well, will be feeling motivated to participate in class, it's really important to use a lot of methodologies, right? Like in this case, where with young learners, we can use gamification, we can use role plays based on activity. We can use flip learning, right? The idea in this case is to use a lot of methodologies that help us with the kids, with the children, with the teenagers, with our population for teaching English in a good way. The idea is to figure it out how to catch the attention of the students, right? And when we catch the attention of the students, we have the possibility to increase that motivation and to make a lot of activities in a good way that the students will be performing really well during the class, right? And I think that's all for this question. Continue with the next one, Camilo, please.
Great.
Camilo,
About hesitating students, right? Hesitant students, right? That's the question of it. Of
that's
course,
correct.
that's a problem we face in the moment to approach some of the courses. And of course, we won't expect to having all the kids being so participating, so outgoing, so uh, happy for the learning process. There are a lot of ideas. You have to gain confidence with the students that they feel comfortable by environment first. So that's gonna take time. But some strategies could help to approach those times, like for example, smart group activities, pair them with supportive classmates, and to encourage participation between them. Because we don't want that these students, right, feels that they are obligated to do it, but we wanted to feel, make them feel like they want to participate in those activities. Also, being account maybe low pressure activities when all the focus on the classroom is just in sharing things, not just having an interrogation of it. Just the students start maybe with just simple low stack activities to build confidence, talking about likes, dislikes, and everything is going on. Of course, as always, positive reinforcement. And we also a one-on-time individual attention, individual feedback from each students that we have to understand better their necessities, their ways to think, their ways to learn, and that will help a lot to get these hesitant students involved in our classes. Great, we are approaching to our final question, isn't it? Okay, how can you use positive
Yes,
reinforcement,
yes.
talking about a bit, in your classroom to encourage good behavior and motivation among your L2 students? And provide an example, please.
Okay, this is a really good question. Actually, for example, in the positive reinforcement, it will be a feedback activity, but in a different way. The idea is that as a teacher, you don't say, okay, today you perform really well, or today you perform really well. No, in this case, the feedback could be different, could be in a different method, be with a different like that. For example, in this case, we can use video games on our classes, and maybe you are asking, okay, why can I use video games in my class? Or why should I do have video games on the class? It's really important to do that because for the teenagers, for the young learners, for whoever learner in English, it's really important to use to make a pathway for them as playing like, for example, I'm learning but I'm playing in English, right? The idea is to use gamification in my personal case or from my point of view because it's really important to have fun, to feel comfortable, to feel happy, to stay really well, literally to be mindfulness, right? Because it's really important to stay in the present and also to have fun, as I said before, for for improving our motivation, for developing our senses of learning English. And in those cases that you use gamification, or you try to make activities with role plays or maybe with a I don't know, with fun activities or interesting activities for the students, they could be feeling more prepared, they could be feeling more optimistic with the English classes and with the English language acquisition, right? For example, in my job, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of people, right? And once I had a student that said me that teacher, I didn't understand the lesson. Can you explain me, but in a different way? And I remember that I tried to explain with video games, right? With some structures in a different way. And the student told me that teacher, that was really well because you play with me. You don't explain me like a normal teacher with grammatics, with the use of English, with positive, negative. No, you explain me with video games, with enjoyment, and I appreciate that. And I thought about, okay, this is really interesting. It's not necessary to make a normal class. The idea is to be creative as a teacher, and nowadays we have a lot of tools for doing that. We have artificial intelligence. If we don't have ideas, we have Dreamkit, Kahoot, for making our classes more funnier. Sorry, make our classes funnier, more funnier, no, funnier. We can the ability to use those resources that help us as a teacher, because as a teacher we have to be up to date, right? Because if we don't be up to date, or if we aren't up to date, we lose our students, because in this era about the new technology in our century, as a teacher we have to know how to use the technological tools, the tech, right? And I think that's all for today. Or what do you think, Camila? What do you think about the last question? Can you give me an example in your own experience?
Right. Great. I think just for making a conclusion of it, we as teachers, it's really hard to put values on the students. As that with ideas, I'm thinking mostly of or a mirror technique, where you are expressing yourself with your body language, with your expressions, you express your ideas. That's ones that students could acquire to fit on the class. I mean, just we have in rules or careful behavior to participate to make things possible in our classes. So our work is that students get those or adapt those rules in order to participate and don't feel like an obligation, but just as a procedural, something not much hard to them.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Camila. As a teachers, we have to be up to date. It's a rule. It's a requirement. It's a boundary for us, right?
I wonder,
We have
yes,
to
keeping
have
in being an example.
boundaries. Yes, 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 yes. And so on. Camilo, I think that's all for today. Thank you for having me, and I thank you for having you in this interview, in this conversation, in this dialogue. I hope you are really well today and have a wonderful vacation.
You too.
See you then, Camilo. Bye bye. I
See
wish
you, my dude.
you have a wonderful vacation.
Take care.